Hey guys, Ross here, welcome back to the channel. Now, as you may very well be aware, if you aren't aware, I'm about to tell you now, the early access for closed beta test number 2 is now live. All the content creators that got invited have been given access to the server, and most of work, including myself, have now sent away their 50 email addresses for everyone they're inviting to come along with them. So if you are lucky enough to be within my 50, welcome to the closed beta test early access. If not, the actual closed beta test will be starting sometime in February, so make sure you do look out for that. I will do an announcement when it comes, so you can download it and play it. Now, as you can see in the background here, guys, the game is back in English. It's so much easier like this, so much better. The ping is around about 280 ms, which is not bad. It's a little bit better than the Chinese server for me. Now, in this video, guys, I'm going to give you 8 must-have settings. These are settings in the basic settings, etc., that you must have to have a better game experience. Now, having the right in-game settings can be the difference between life and death, especially in this game in certain scenarios. So, without further ado, guys, if you do us a massive favour, please subscribe to the channel for all of the best tips, guides, and gameplay for Arena Breakout. So let's get straight into this one. Number 1 on our list, guys, is aim assist. Now, aim assist on this game is not actually as high as most people think. It is noticeable in certain scenarios, but it's actually not really needed because it doesn't really affect your aim much at all unless it's really close range. Now, there is times when aim assist does come in handy. Now, if you're in an extraction and there's bushes around, sometimes the aim assist will drift towards people who are lying down in bushes, so it does help with that. That's the only instance I find it helps. Long range sniping stuff, I can't tell the difference. You're rushing someone, it's really fast paced, I can't tell the difference. But if you're standing still, you're aiming, someone runs past your aim, it'll probably like slightly move towards them. So it's entirely optional if you have it on. I'm a firm believer of if it's in the game, use it, so I use it, but it's not necessarily 100%, necessary to have it on. Right guys, down here we've got the tutorials. Now you've got health tutorial, reload tutorial, and treatment tutorial. Now, if you're completely fresh to the game, you've never played before, these may come in handy, especially if you get hurt or you need to reload or you didn't really pay attention to the tutorial at the start of the game. These things will come in handy. However, I do tend to switch them off because there's nothing worse than you're in the heat of battle, people are shooting at you, you're hurt, you dive into cover and stuff, and the game's busy trying to explain to you, you have a blackened out limb, you could use this, blah, blah. It's just irritating. If you don't know how to aim, if you don't know how to heal, I would just leave them on, but you don't need them on, so switch them off. Right guys, in at number 3, we've got tap to reload. Now, this is something I don't use in the CN server. You might not see us use this, but you will see the difference if you do switch this on. Now, I've got it switched on because basically what it means is when you're in a game and you need to reload your magazine, usually you click the ammo, then you click the magazine, then you would click reload. With this one, if you click the ammo, then click the magazine, it'll automatically start reloading, which saves a hell of a lot of time, especially if you're in the middle of combat or, you just want to be a bit quicker of opening your inventory to then reload and then switch it off again, just to have a better view of your surroundings while you're doing it. Saves a lot of time. I recommend you do put it on. Over on the right hand side, guys, we've got drag to move item. Now, I'm going to quickly show you this. It's not absolutely necessary to have on. A lot of people don't like it. I don't personally. I keep forgetting it's on. But pretty much, you've got your inventory here, and you can click something and then click where you want it to go, and it'll move. With drag to move, you hold your finger on it, and you can drag it around to where you want it to go. Some people prefer this. I'm not really fussed either way. I've got the option on if I want it, but I always forget it actually exists, and I never actually use it very often, but it's a good one to have on, especially if you're looting. So you're looting up someone and you just want to be quick, sort of like drag things in your inventory. But sometimes it's unresponsive. That's why I don't like it as much. But it's not even working now. But yeah, it's one of them things where if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Right guys, down here below recommended medicine, we've got something called HUD vibration. Now you'll not notice this at all, really. It'll only really affect you in one specific point, which is when you queue up to a game and it finally queues, your phone will vibrate. And I personally just find it annoying. If you've got your mic on, sometimes this vibration will go through the microphone to other players, etc. It's a hindrance. You don't really need it on unless you're going to queue up and then leave your phone lying on a table or something. You want to be notified when you're going to queue up. So generally speaking, I would just switch it off. Now guys, number 6, medical recommends. Now, medicine. Now, this is very useful. And even veteran players like myself still use it because it saves you opening your inventory, it saves you opening your medical sort of menu every time you need to heal. Now, if you get a blackened out limb, it'll recommend you using your surgeon kit. If you get a bleed, it'll recommend you using your bandages, and it just saves time because it'll automatically highlight which medicine is best suited for what sort of ailment you have. For instance, it only really affects stuff that's in your rig, not your backpack. But if, for instance, you say you got hungry or you're thirsty and you had the available items in your rig, it would come up in the bottom saying, I recommend you use this. It'll not come up on the screen and say that, but it sort of highlights it and it automatically puts it into your med reel. So it just saves a lot of time, and it's a good one to have switched on. Right, finally, guys. Well, not finally. Number 7, gyroscope. Unless you claw and you've got your phone flat, I highly recommend you learn to use gyroscope if you don't already. Now, I have it always on, which means it constantly affects me aim. So anytime I'm moving, anytime I move my phone, my aim can be assisted with gyroscope. Now, you can have it ADS only, so it'll only actually affect you when you've got your scope open or you're aiming down the sight. That's what scope on means, which is a lot of people do that, and it does help your aim thrusters. When you're going for precise headshots, especially with a sniper rifle and stuff, that little fine adjustment of just slightly moving your phone can be massive. So if you haven't learned it yet, you're still playing without it, you can play without it, but I recommend you do try and learn it if you can. Right guys, finally we've got sensitivity and your heads up display. Now sensitivity, I haven't really doctored this into my own sort of values yet. However, if I feel that just by putting fixed speed acceleration and high default, it usually works out quite fine for me. Somebody else might find something that's a bit more suited. If you want to tweak with them, that's entirely up to you. But I quite feel that this sort of basic is enough. So I would just set it to high. Now controls, guys, I'm a thumb player myself. I play with just my 2 thumbs. I don't claw, I don't 3-finger or anything. If you do want to have a look at my HUD here and look why I've put certain things in certain places, I'll quickly go through the HUD just so you understand what each and everything done. Obviously these things here are your peek buttons. This with items and cancel on is if you're using meds or you're reloading this stuff, you can cancel it in a hurry if you need to. This little grenade icon beneath the person is cancel a grenade throw. And this one next to it is remove the pin, so you can't cook something when you're throwing it to try and make it explode. There's no timer though, so you have to kind of judge it for yourself how long it's going to last. Roughly grenades will blow up after like 4 or 5 seconds, so just bear in mind you can blow yourself up if you take the pin out and forget to throw it. Over here guys, we've got 2 scope adjustments. Now, the one on the left with the little scroller is if you've got a varying zoom scope, for instance a 4 times to a 20 times, you can sort of scroll this to go in and out of the range of the scope, whereas the one on the right swaps between available scopes. So if you make a gun, you've got a 4 times, you've got a rare dot, and you've got say iron sights or something, you click this and it cycles between the available scopes on any given gun. This one here as well with the helmet sign and the night vision on is your visor. So if you've got night vision on your helmet, or you've got thermal vision, or you've got a visor, you click this, you can pull it up or you can pull it back down again. So sometimes with certain visors it pays you to pull it up so you can see better or hear better, and obviously you don't need it down realistically unless you're in battle, but you can still get headshots, so I just leave it down constantly. And this fancy looking one here is of course laser sight, so you can switch on your laser sights or switch them off. On the right here I've got my sneak button, and everything else on here is pretty much explanatory, self-explanatory, you know what I mean. You've got sprint, you've got your health bar, which is the green thing, and your stamina remainder is at the top here. So like I said, this is my layout for thumbs only. If you do want to copy it, take a screenshot, and I don't mind whatsoever. Anyway guys, that is that for today's video. I don't want to save that because I haven't changed anything. That is that for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Like I say, I do probably maybe the best tips and guides for Breakout, and me gameplay, in my opinion, is rather good. So if you do want to see more of it, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to be playing a lot of the early access, and I will be playing closed beta test 2 when it fully releases. Hopefully we'll get a bit more content than this one's got in, because it's just kind of basic right now, but it's decent enough. Anyway, thanks so much for watching guys, and if you are playing the early access, or you are getting access to it from my invitations or somebody else's, this is my IGN, iRossYT, if you do want to add us on the server. So hopefully I'll see you then, or in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you later.